Hey VC, Big Star 1000 with installment 99 of Revolutions. Again, 20 records that have been spinning or rediscovering, mostly rediscovering really, because a lot of these, when you've got lots of records on your shelf, as you know, you can go a very long time without spinning some of them. Sometimes you even forget what you've got. You go, oh, I've got that. That's amazing. And so it's always great to dig back and just like, oh yeah, cool. Case in point, this morning I was rediscovering the first Funkadelic record. Today is Saturday morning, and it's a great time to make videos because there's light. Number one, being winter at the moment in Australia, light is at a premium. You come home at 5 after work or whatever, and it's already kind of like really sort of darkish. So that's the moment I can make videos at is now. Anyway, digressing. Funkadelic, great, amazing debut record by them from 1970, originally released on West Band Records. Fantastic psychedelic, very psychedelic effort. More psychedelic than their subsequent records. Yeah, and they asked the question on track 1, "Mummy, what's a Funkadelic?" And I've been asking myself the same question: what is a Funkadelic? Before that, right before, because as I said, I was playing this record this morning. Right before that, I played this record by the Greg Foyt Group. This is live at the Playboy Club. I spoke about Greg Foyt in my modern UK jazz video. I was showing the girl with robot and flowers. And this is an excellent live date. So the Greg Foyt Group were the in-house band at the Playboy Club in London from January 2013. And so Jasmine Records decided to record them on Thursday the 16th and Friday the 17th of January 2014. So they just decided to record them. And it sounds really great. It doesn't really sound like a live record. I mean, you hear the clapping at times, but it's so well recorded that at times you sort of forget it's live. What a place to be the house band in, like, and not that this wouldn't be my place of choice to go and see a band, obviously. But if you're there and you can see a Playboy bunny there on the cover, which is a great shot, I think, like for an album cover. That is a fantastic shot, and the typography and the whole thing is copied directly, it seems, on the album I was showing last week by Serge Gainsbourg, L'Homme à tête de chou. It's almost exactly got the same format and typography. It's a great funky jazz record, a little modal, a little spiritual at times. And on the CD, which I don't have, but there is a bonus track of them doing a jazz version of Papa's Got a Brand New Pig Bag by Pig Bag, which I have on 7-inch, the original version. Great song, and it works really well for them. It's fantastic. Undoubtedly the album that I've played the most, or that I've loved the most in the past 6 to 8 months, has been In Rainbows by Radiohead. Despite my love for jazz in all of its forms at the moment, I think since probably October, November last year, I got myself reacquainted with In Rainbows. In fact, I'd say properly acquainted with In Rainbows, because it's an album that's, when it came out, I bought it on download. It was the first time that you could pay whatever you wanted. I remember going on their website and like paying, I don't know what I paid for it, but because I had a download of it and everything, it wasn't an album that I explored as much. And then, years later, I bought it on record, and and you know, I just got it. You know, like I painted this house outside, and this was largely the soundtrack that I used to paint the house. I put earphones and I listened to it, and I think it's perfect, really, from the opener, 15 Step, which is, I mean, one of the best Radiohead songs. You know, you got Body Snatchers, you've got Weird Fishes, beautiful. Faust Up, Videotape, I mean, Jigsaw falling into place. Perfect record, perfect record. If you have In Rainbows and you haven't listened to it properly, you know, I suggest you do. It's fantastic. A revisit of a classic Blue Note record, Pete La Rocca, with Joe Anderson on sax, Steve Kuhn on piano, Steve Swallow on bass. And Pete La Rocca is obviously the drummer. This is one of the best titles on the entire Blue Note catalogue. It's got a very oriental feel to it. This has just been reissued as a Blue Note 80, and they sound really good. So I very, very much encourage you to pursue this. This is a great record on Blue Note. Now this is a reissue from the sort of mid 2000s. And I was really considering upgrading to the Blue Note 80 because it's meant to sound really good. But this sounds good. Like, I was replaying it this week. I thought myself, I played like 2 or 3 times back to back. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. If it sounds alright, you know, like, you don't need to upgrade everything just for the sake of upgrading, you know. Only upgrade if it sounds like shit, and that sounds good. This is a record that I bought last year when I was in Germany on my German trip, and I haven't explored it fully yet, because I mean, you know, that's what happens when you have lots of records. Sometimes you just, but this is a beautiful, beautiful record. It's one of the best things that they did, both of them, and it's probably the best Ry Cooder album there is out there. Talking Timbuktu, from 1994 on World Circuit. I believe this to be an original pressing. Yeah, great bluesy, you know, yeah, country blues from Africa. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful record. Highly recommended. An album that I hadn't played for ages, and I got to play this twice this week. The Oneness of Juju. I think they were a band from Washington DC, maybe, the Oneness of Juju, and they were led by a sax player called Plunky. What's his name? Plunky Branch. That's right, Plunky Branch. And this is obviously a reissue of it. It's not. This has been reissued recently again by I don't know, maybe. Now again? No? Or I don't know, but this is just a stock standard reissue from the 2000s, or 2010s even. I think 2000s. I've had this for a long time. But this is a great record, sort of spiritual, Afro-centric, Afro-futuristic, lots of female vocals, you know, very funky, very beautiful. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Clunky Bridge and his Oneness of Juju. Another Afrocentric record, which is sort of more on the funky side, is this M2Me record, Kiss This World Goodbye, which is, yeah, a very, very cool funky record from 1978. Came out on Epic Records, an original press, I think. And yeah, very elastic funk, you know, very, it's, you know, with female vocals, great record, you know, amazing, amazing, beautiful, on Epic in M2Me, something I don't play very often. I was cleaning some records. I was cleaning records, because one thing I despise about records, absolutely, one of my biggest dislikes is paper sleeves. I hate paper sleeves with a passion. I don't know what you pay 40, 50 bucks for a record and it's still in a shitty paper sleeve. It does my head in. Put the plastic, you know, like a polyline thing in there. Like, I'm happy to pay an extra $1 if you want. Record companies, please. So what I do is I buy polyline sleeves, or just like simple, like even very, very simple, like, you know, these kinds of sleeves. And I replace the paper sleeves. I clean the records and I replace them. So I was cleaning this Black Rock by James Blood Alma, which is kind of like a guitar version of a Ornette Coleman record. In fact, they played together a lot, but this is very, it's, you know, free jazz extravaganza. James Blood Alma, guitar player. And on this, who's in the band? I can't remember. It was a while since I played this. I don't really know any not really household names. Anyway, I was playing this. I was cleaning the record, and lo and behold, on the label, now if the camera will pick this up, I'll try. Is the it says, I don't know if because I can't tell what the camera is picking up. So it says Edmund Cooper. I don't know if you can see there. Edmund Cooper, which is Ed Cooper, the guitar player from the Saints and from the Laughing Clowns. It's amazing. That was his record, and he left his name on it, and that caused me to play this record, this Ed Cooper record. That's why a little segue. So Ed Cooper, okay, you can see his name there. Ed Cooper, Edmund Cooper, is a German-born guitar player from Brisbane. He was the lead guitar player in the Saints, which is, you know, well recognized for being maybe the first, you know, like in the 70s, one of the first punk bands, certainly the first punk band from Australia. And then he went on and he formed a band called the Laughing Clowns, which to me is more important still. I think in the Australian musical landscape, with regards to post-punk, they did way more than the Saints would ever have done. And then he formed the Aints, and then he made lots of solo records. And this is the best of his solo records. It's called Rooms of the Magnificent, and it has probably his best known song, Also sprach the King of Eurodisco. Fantastic song. So yeah, Ed Cooper's record. I've had this record, the Black Rock, I've had it for years and years. I didn't know it was there, I just discovered it. I also revisited this great Blue Note, later Blue Note record by Horace Silver, called Total Response. So it's the Horace Silver Quintet Sextet with vocals, also dubbed the United State of Mind Phase 2. I've had this record for quite a long time, but I haven't really spent too much time with it. It has very lovely vocals by both Andy Bay and his sister Salome Bay, and the band comprises of, I can't remember, there's some big names in the band. Cecil Bridgewater on tenor sax, Harold Vick here is on tenor sax. No, sorry. Cecil Bridgewater is on trumpet, and Harold Vick is on tenor sax, of course, obviously. And Horace Silver is on piano, and Bob Cranshaw is on drums on this. Very, very cool record. It's got the opener, Acid Pots and Pills, gives you a really good idea of what this is. It's soul jazz. It's a beautiful, beautiful soul jazz record, and I highly recommend it. It's very, I mean, Horace Silver, he's a dude. This is a great record too, Albert Heath, Kwanza the First. This is an original on Muse Records. So it's in the same line as the other record, Kawaida. I think they were released one after the other, I believe. This is from 1974. This is some beautiful spiritual jazz. sort of funky as well. Yeah, very, very, very cool record with Kenny Barron, Jimmy Heath, Percy Heath, Curtis Fuller on trombone. Fantastic record. Here's a monster record. Yes, I mean a record everybody knows, okay? I don't talk too much about it. Towed by Pharoah Sanders. Yeah, what to say? I think people need this for the opening track, which is Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. 17 minutes of... This track is amazing because for about 8-9 minutes you just have the interplay between the bass, the drums. It's kind of, you feel like, you know, where is Pharoah Sanders? And then he erupts out of nowhere. You don't expect him at all. You know, you hear the bass playing very, you know, like this modal kind of chord progression, and then you've got Pharoah Sanders who appears, you know, like Superman to save the day. Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, amazing. Here's a record that I haven't played forever and ever, and why not? I mean, it's because lots of records you don't play things. Danny Zetlin expansion. Danny Zetlin is a keyboard, piano keyboard player. So on this he plays acoustic and electric piano, clavinet, organ, melodica, and anything that basically has got keys on it. Harp, synth, African thumb piano, yeah. So everything with, you know, keys basically. And this is a fantastic sort of you know, space jazz record. You know, like sort of futuristic jazz fusion. Fantastic record, amazing. I'll continue with an Australian, an Aussie jazz classic, the Alan Lee Jazz Quartet and Friends. Alan Lee plays the vibes, and this was recorded, it says Gallery Concerts 1973. So this is the National Gallery in Victoria, Gallery of Victoria in Melbourne. So if you ever come to Melbourne, this is one of the places you would visit. It's got a great art collection, international art collection with, you know, Picasso and the like. And then in the foyer of the gallery is a place that they sort of turn into a stage at times. On Friday nights there's gigs there. I've been to quite a few gigs there. Actually, I'll make a segue to the next record with that. And this is a great record. It's not the best Alan Lee record there is. The purple one is probably the better one out of the two. But this is really still great. It's got this kind of you know, modal vibe on some tracks. It's you know, sort of avant-garde jazz at times. Sometimes it's more straight ahead. But I really, really like this. And this was a gift from my friend Andrew Champsound, who we haven't seen for a long time here on the VC, but you know, if you're watching, Andrew, you know, still treasure this. It's great. And segue is that I was playing this Ben Watt record. So this is North Marin Drive by Ben Watt, his first solo record. And I saw Ben Watt in this spot here with James Buttery and my late wife Sarah. We all went and we saw Ben Watt play solo. And Ben Watt, if you don't know, is one half of Everything But the Girl. And he met Tracy Thorn on, because they both released an album on this label, Cherry Red. In the same year, I think, 1983, she released a first solo album, and I think that's how they met. This is such a wonderful record. It's the closest thing to, say, for example, a Nick Drake record that I can think of in sort of a updated version. It's him with acoustic guitar or piano. His vocals are just beautiful, soothing vocals. It's really I mean, you know, if you like Nick Drake, if you like Nick Drake, if that's your thing, this is look. This, if I had to part with a zillion records, I would still keep this. This is so wonderful, and I regret not taking this copy of my record to get signed like James Buttery did when we saw him, because I could really have done that, but you know, never mind. And I was talking about Nick Drake, and I played this this week. Actually, I played this first, and it made me think of playing the Ben Watts. That was the order it was played in. This is the collection that they put out probably about 15 years ago. I don't know, 2004. Yeah, 2000. That was my second year in this country. 2004, so a long time ago. And they discovered that track, Magic. I think that's why. I think it was unearthed or something, and they just decided to make this collection of outtakes, and it still really works well. I mean, I think it's still, if you're sick of your 3 Nick Drake classic records and you want more Nick Drake, this is very highly recommended. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's got some stripped back versions of Riverman, for example, which has got, you know, it's just the guitar and the voice. There's no arrangements in the back. It's really nice. Here's a record everyone should own. I say that a lot, but I mean for good reason. It's the Mighty Bosco band from Chicago, which really embodies the concept deep spiritual funk. It's almost jazz at times, you know, but it veers more into the funk territory, and this is highly political, highly conscious. This is Black Consciousness 101. This is the kind of album that, you know, you could proudly play in these times of Black Lives Matters and all that, you know, that movement we have with George Floyd at the moment. This is the music that is so topical that's, you know, it almost hurts, you know. This was re-released by a newer group a number of years ago. I remember discovering this at a local record store. It was playing on the speakers, and basically the guy behind the store, the kind of hit me to it. He says, "Oh, you know, this is a reissue by." It was at the time when it got reissued. I think 2007. Yeah, that's about the time. Amazing record on Numero Group. Bosco, a must. Here is a reissue from last year, 2019. Beautiful sleeve. Justine, she was a singer from, what was her real name? Justine Bradley, that's right. Justine Bradley, she was a singer from Sydney, and she made in 1979, I think, an album which is kind of a vocal jazz record, but a vocal funky jazz record. In fact, when you listen to this, you have the impression you're listening to an early version of Sade. Really, like, not kidding, because, you know, that's what Sade did. It's like jazzy arrangements with like smooth vocals. That's what you've got there. You've got Sam McNally on Fender Rhodes, and Sam McNally released some really sort of interesting records in the 70s, Aussie jazz classics. You know, I think Chris Cole is a big fan of the Sam McNally that I sent him. And what Left Ear Record did, this is on Left Ear Record, they picked the best 2 songs of Justine to release, because the rest of the album was pretty pedestrian, really. And I like that idea. I dig that idea that well, why re-release an entire album when only just 2 tracks are worth hearing, you know? Like, that's kind of cool, you know? The album is all fine. I mean, you know, I'm all for it. It was an album I haven't played for a long time, and to the point where I don't think I remember that I had this album. Harold Alexander, Raw Root, his second album, funky as hell, funky flute, and you see that's his instrument. This is just amazing. His first record, the red one with his head on it, is yeah, same, really funky, kind of like, yeah, you know, other funky flute players come to mind, like Jeremy Steig, and I've got a Jeremy Steig record there to show you as well. Very cool. This is an amazing funky flute record, 1974 on Atlantic Record, original press. Beautiful. I'll talk about Jeremy Steig at the same time. So, because I was listening to Harold Alexander, it sort of prompted me to play this as well, which is a double LP on Groove Merchant. And so this is called Fusion, but I think it's a compilation of 2 records. And the first record on side A and B is called, I forgot now. In his discography, if you look up this on Discogs, it'll tell you, first album is blah blah blah. But I can't remember now because my mind's like a sieve, and I'm trying to retain too many facts. Like just this video alone, that's how many things I've got to say. This is great. This is great. The first album, mostly the side A and B, is a standout, and it's, I can't remember which album it is in his discography. You can look it up yourself. I can't do everything for you. Here's another album that I haven't played for forever and ever. This is John McLaughlin and Santana, which is a dedication to John Coltrane, really. Love, Devotion, Surrender. Starts with a jazz fusion rendition of A Love Supreme. I mean, look at it, like, you know, I just feel like they were going to play cricket or something in his outfit. Like Santana looks like he's going to play cricket there. Like, that's it. This is a record that you can buy, like, I know in Australia, for example, here in Melbourne, you can find this record in every bargain bin, just about. It's killer. It's a jazz fusion record. It's spiritual. It's you know, it elevates you when you listen to it. I don't know where it's so cheap, or people don't want this. It's like the other Santana records, Caravanserai. Cheap, but cosmic as fuck. Really great record, and this is too great. And the last one I've got is a beautiful Nina Simone record. Sings the blues, yeah. Nina Simone sings the blues. What is it has to say about this? You know, what is there a bad Nina Simone record? You know, maybe there is, but honestly, this lady is to soul jazz what Miles Davis was to, you know, was to jazz in general, or John Coltrane, or what, you know, Funkadelic is to funk, or, you know, she's soul jazz 101, you know, so fantastic. Okay, I'll stop talking now, and I hope you enjoy this installment as much as I've enjoyed playing those records. Love you all. Cheers.